Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Nicola Ducharme. I am the owner and medical director of RestorMedicine. And I am so happy to be here today introducing Dr. Barbara Rush to you. And also just announcing that we are back doing IVs and ozone therapy at RestorMedicine. So that has been a long time coming. I'm very excited, but I really waited to find the right person who just had all the background and the experience and the knowledge that we really wanted at Restore. And so now we have Dr. Rush, and we're very, very happy about that. So Dr. Rush, welcome to our RestorMedicine family. We are happy to have you on board. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about your background and kind of what made you passionate about natural medicine and what got you especially into IVs and ozone therapy?
So I got all the rest of my licensing and stuff like that in 2005. So I've been doing this for 15 years. And I love IV therapy because of the fact that IV therapy is literally the fastest way to affect change in somebody's chemistry, which will of course translate immediately to their health. The body and the cells and the organs work off of what comes to them through the bloodstream. So if I'm having a hard time or someone really needs a fast treatment on something, IV therapy is amazing because IV therapy drops the nutrition right into the bloodstream. So it is literally immediately available to the cells. So whether you're trying to get over a cold or the flu or some virus, or you need more energy or you need to calm down, IV therapy is the way to do it.
Yeah, I love it too. So one of the things I love the most is you can just get more nutrients into the cells, right? And I know that you had talked about that example with vitamin C. Like if you took orally the amount of vitamin C that you can get in a single IV, you'd probably be on the toilet for 4 days. It can give a lot of digestive disturbance and things like that. So it's great that we have this as a way to really kind of just nourish the cells and feed the body in a very direct way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Vitamin C has been studied for a very long time, especially IV, because we can drop in such a higher dose into the bloodstream. Whereas, like you said, when we have to deal with the digestive system, well, it's going to have its way with us. So yes, we can only tolerate so much in one dosage, but when we put it through an IV, we can really rectify certain things going on with your chemistry, and we can do it immediately. So it's a very wonderful addition, and it's been around for a very long time. So we know it's very safe. I know people can come for all kinds of reasons to get a high dose vitamin C.
Yeah, and that's one of your favorites, isn't it? The high dose vitamin C. And I know you've also come up with your own immune formula. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the immune formula is one of my favorite IVs. It's for, it has a relatively high dose of vitamin C, but the nice thing about the dose of vitamin C in the immune is that we don't have to have a G6PD blood test. It's a high enough dose that it can really bring someone's immune system back to awareness and really renourish it, but it's also got B vitamins in it. And it's also got things specifically for viral things like zinc and lysine and stuff like that. So it's a really good overall wonderful IV, especially when, we're coming into those times of the year when we just don't have time to be sick. You come in, you get an immune, and your immune system has that shot in the arm that it needs, per se.
Literally.
And it's really good for, depending on someone's nutritional levels, it can be good for a while. So yeah, that's one of my favorites is the immune IV.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that you're bringing your proprietary formula and sharing it with our folks at Restore, because obviously with our population and working with a lot of chronic Lyme and mold toxicity and all these different things, the immune system is so central to that.
Right.
So let's talk about how, if people just want to optimize their wellness, they may not necessarily have any specific diagnoses. Talk about how IVs can help just your general population, your general individual.
Well, what I like to do is let people know that there's different IVs that basically do different things. So let's say, we're not necessarily talking about the immune system right now, but let's just say people have, fatigue issues or something. It's not like we ever know anybody who has fatigue issues, right? So we have a few that will help with that. You know, one of the most famous ones, of course, is a Myers cocktail. That's a very good, general, well-rounded nutritional IV. A lot of times I see a lot of people, you know, purchasing these in packages or whatever, depending on where I'm living, right before the holidays, and they come in regularly to get them so that they're, you know, they can get all their projects done, they can still have the energy they need, and things like that. So, you know, we have a variety of IVs that handle different sorts of things. Even in the hot weather, we've got a hydration IV, because hydration is critical. If you don't have enough fluid, there's a lot of systems in the body that aren't going to work at peak capacity. So we have, you know, IVs that can really help people with just about everything.
Well, and on that point, I really learned that lesson myself a couple of weeks ago. We had that very, very hot week where it was 85, 90 degrees, and I was up at the barn riding my horse every day, and, you know, trying to still run in the morning, then riding during the day. And I swear to God, every day I'd come home from the barn just so completely wiped out. And, you know, it occurred to me, like, for all the water I'm drinking, like, and this is something that athletes will realize, that you can drink water until the cows come home, but if you don't get those electrolytes back in, and you don't get the minerals back in, you're going to really refill your body. And you know, I remember that when I was doing triathlons, I'd come home from a training, like a big training day, and, you know, stick an IV in my own arm, because that would help my recovery.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think there's a massive application here for people, like you said, who just want to maintain optimal wellness, for, you know, athletes getting through busy times, you know, and stressful times too. And, you know, right now, you know, everyone's very focused on immunity because of the current events of the world, but you also have an IV that helps calm the nervous system.
Yes. Yes. And I call it Liquid Zen. Liquid Zen was designed because a lot of times people, you know, we live in a stressful time, and, you know, a lot of times we just want to, you know, shut off work. It's time to go home and rest or do something else. And some people have a hard time doing that. They're very wound up. And Liquid Zen is one that is for people that maybe they have stressful relationships at home. Maybe they have a stressful relationship at work, and it's hard for them to really, you know, relax and calm down. It will help those muscles to kind of respond the way they want, so that they can kind of get into a deeper level of calmness. Thankfully, though, it does not impair anybody's ability to operate heavy machinery. So it's not like they are going to come and then they can't drive home. It's something that's a very functional IV, but it definitely does a good job in taking the edge off, especially when people are having a hard time relaxing. So that's why I call it Liquid Zen.
I think it's great. It's a perfect name too. I think that's also so helpful. You know, so many people are feeling just a lot of stress, carrying around a lot of stress, a lot of anxious feelings, a lot of the racing thoughts, and that tension interfering with sleep then. So I'm assuming that Liquid Zen sort of helps to promote healthy sleep patterns, and just, you know, being calming for the nervous system. There are so many people that need that. And not only from life and day to day, but also, you know, in the chronic health category, you know, those anxious feelings and that nervous system overdrive is just a sort of part of the symptom picture. So I think people are really going to love being able to get help for that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. So finally, let's talk a little bit about ozone therapy. So we historically have offered 10-pass ozone at Restore, and we will be doing that again. Dr. Rush, you've done ozone therapy for years and years. What do you like the most about ozone therapy?
What I like about ozone therapy is that, first of all, it's been around since before antibiotics were around. So ozone was actually used to help sanitize the blood. It's an antimicrobial. So it doesn't matter if you have a bacterial infection, a viral infection, or something that's fungal that's bothering you. Ozone therapy helps to sanitize the blood, because one of the most frustrating things is when people have viruses that hang on, or they've got a fungal issue going on, or they just can't kick the bacterial thing. They keep taking whatever they're taking, and maybe it's not working. But if you go in and you address it right at the blood level and you sanitize that blood, boy, it's amazing how quickly the body will respond. Because when you get that stuff kind of out of the way, and especially if you piggyback the immune IV right behind that, oh my God, that's like the 1-2 punch that your body's going to need to get rid of what's in the blood and then refill the immune system back up to the top so it's at full functionality. And people have said to me, look, I've had this headaches, cough, or whatever for 3 months. And they come in and they do one ozone and they're like, oh my God, the next day they're texting me, oh my God, I feel so much better. I don't have the cough anymore or whatever. Ozone is absolutely phenomenal. It is, and it's been around for a long time, and it's a very safe treatment. You're using the patient's own blood. It's not something that they're going to have reactions to. How could they, because when we think about it, when we think about the fact that we, as humans, we develop a resistance to antibiotics and antivirals and stuff like that, one thing we can always know is the human genome will never, ever develop a resistance to oxygen. So that's why it is so helpful, because when they've hit a wall and they just don't know what else to do, ozone can really reset, press the restart button. And it's a very big help for people that are suffering.
Yeah, it's got so many applications. And I love what you said, like use the ozone to clean out the gunk and then use the immune IV to rebuild the system,
Yep.
A lot of these chronic infections, it's a big ask of the immune system to take care of it all by itself. I mean, in a perfect world, our immune system would just sort of deal with the pathogens and regulate everything. But, once that pathogen load gets too high, it's just too much to ask the immune system to do that. So I love the idea of doing the ozone first as a cleansing, sort of sanitizing process, then doing the immune IV with lots of vitamin C and really just kind of upregulating that system. Right, and I think, ozone also has great application for mold toxicity, candida issues, yeast and fungal stuff as well, which is something that plagues a lot of our population anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So finally, before we wrap up, I just want to mention a couple of things. So glutathione is something that we frequently do through IV. And then speaking of the immune strengthening, you also have a homeopathic that you utilize via IV. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. I also do utilize homeopathics that are injectables. One of them that I use is for the immune system. So it's kind of like when someone comes in, it's very famous for when people say, oh my God, I had all 3 of my kids come home from school this week and they all came home with something sick and I don't want to get it. That's when we start to really pull out all the big guns, because as any parent knows, when one kid gets it, eventually the entire house seems to get it. So if we can just recharge that, and I use every possible tool in my tool bag to do that. And the homeopathics are awesome for that. And when we add this is just an energetic way of approaching boosting that immune system and kind of soothing it at the same time. Because usually when something like that happens, the immune system has been really, barreling hard and it's just worn out. And this is just another way to kind of give it a soothing boost. And it's very beneficial. And these are all add-ons. You can add on that to anything. So if you're doing a basic Myers and you just want a little bit of a push, you can add that onto a Myers, even though the Myers isn't necessarily designed to be an immune IV, but you can always add on the homeopathics to any IV you have. And that way it's, instead of coming in the front door and something else is coming in the back door, this is coming in through the windows, is what I like to say to the patients, because then they understand we're really trying to attack this from every angle. Because if we don't have our immune system, then there's a lot of systems that, as with what you treat, can really go bad. So I like to make sure that, when I'm working with someone, that's why I like to talk to them. Like if they made an appointment and said, yeah, I'm coming down with something, I want to have a conversation with them before I hook them up. So I know maybe I need to talk to them about adding something into their IV this time. And it doesn't have to be all the time. It can just be, the regular IV the next time. But I like to make sure that I really customize these for patients, because, we're different from day to day. And sometimes there's certain times of the year we need more help than at others. So I always like to make sure that I have a conversation with patients, especially when it comes to immune things, to find out what is their history? Do they always get sick at this time of the year? Well, then let's give you something extra to really push it away and maybe keep it at bay for a while, kind of a thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's fascinating. And glutathione has always been one of my most favorite nutrients. I have a lot of patients taking it liposomal forms, but it's just such a good detox helper. It's a master antioxidant. So a glutathione push at the end of the IV just really helps with that detoxing element.
Right. And I like doing the glutathione IV, even if they're taking it orally, because when we put anything through the digestive system, then what happens is nobody has a perfect gut. No matter how great we eat and how well we take care of ourselves, there's still things that basically kind of get in the way of having 100% top functioning GI. So we always have to play this guessing game when we, as doctors, you and I prescribe something for them to take orally. We have to guess, well, how much is really getting in? Because, you know, they may not have the best, you know, hydrochloric acid. They may not have the best, liver function, whatever, you know. So we have to kind of think about, but when I do glutathione in an IV, I know exactly how much they're getting, and it's going directly into all the cells. And that's why we don't have to dose it very high when we do it through an IV, because then we know they're getting everything. But when we give an oral dose, we have to kind of at least double that dose, because we want them to hopefully get around half of that dose. It's this guessing game. And I don't know about you, but as a doctor, I'm not a big fan of guessing games. So then I don't have to guess.
No, I don't like guessing games. And truly the only oral glutathione I even consider is liposomal, just to try and circumvent that issue, because glutathione just taken as a capsule is fairly useless in my view. But
right, yeah.
So my final question for you is, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you enjoy doing? What are your hobbies when you're not being a naturopathic doctor? Do you have any pets?
I have a cat. Her name is Gracie. She's I don't know where she is right now, but she's a sweetheart. I got her from the Oregon Humane Society, and I love her to pieces. And she's been with me the whole time I've been down here in Southern California. And I love to garden. I'm a huge fan of gardening and growing my own food as much as I can. And because of world events, I've had to stop going to the regular garden group that I was a member of. But I have built a raised bed garden on my little patio, and I've got some tomatoes going, and you know, things like that. But I don't know what it is. I just love to garden. So I've got gardening going on, and I'm a big fan of tiny houses. I hope to live in one someday. Not the kind that are on wheels. I'm not a big fan of that in earthquake state. That would be terrible. So
yeah, that's totally movement, isn't it? Well, we'll have to get you connected here in Mission Hills, where Restore Medicine is. There's a garden club here that's fairly well established in San Diego.
Oh,
and
wow, okay.
They'll do an annual tour, and so we'll talk about that.
All right, sounds good.
All right, Doc. Well, look, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to be able to share this information with our friends and patients. And so thank you for your time today. And
sure.
So if for people listening, watching, if you want to schedule an appointment, you can do that online if you go to RestorMedicine.com, and Restore does not have an E on the end. So it's RESTOR medicine.com. You can call us. The number is 619-546-4065. Or shoot an email to info at RestorMedicine.com. And we would be happy to answer your questions. And so we look forward to seeing you really soon. And thank you again, Dr. Rush. We'll
oh,
see you
sure.
again soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.